Yo, it's your favorite N-word, Terrence Prescott Barnes. This time, I'll be telling you the story about Rango Ocytheon. In a land of imagination, there was a group of kids from Earth 13 that showed exemplary Gundam piloting skills. They had heroism tendencies, with arrow logic of high kind to the point you would think they were adults. On paper, that is. The time was the tender ages of 9. They were being sought by a specific scientist that wanted them admitted to the super being surveillance program. With them being so young, it would mean they have 4 lucky horseshoes down in the Super League by the time they enter high school. It's something all of them wanted, but they were from different regions of Earth 13. Asking their parents to be a part of a human experiment didn't go over easy, but their parents are in all of the Super Leagues. Various forms, various contracts, by all are mighty individuals and couples. That's something the scientists felt was splendid, perfect, once of a lifetime, and could be groundbreaking. Before I go into who the scientist is, here are their powers. Captain Bright, Heaven. Chunk Zero, Ice Dragon. Sunloft, Astronomy. Zorelia, Poy Poy. Arcoletta, Mirror. Faraday, Sorcery, with the categories of Sound, Energy, Portal, and Ray. Ovagzeto, Weather. And Dr. Dool's Gunpod. A powerful, nifty combination of superpowers, brought to use by a scientist of oh my god proportions. The specific scientist was an elderly fellow, a gentleman of sorts, who has had a rocking career in superheroism. All of the worlds loved him, and he was in so many leagues of heroism, you would piece together he has to have the bankroll for the following idea. An all-star Gundam crew that tends to every encompassing media titan. That is superheroism, with 7 specifically built Gundams for stardom, heroism, and monster handling. Furthermore, with the idea of helping generate a craze around galactic cleanup to create a cluster of humanity in galaxies that do not have livable planets, making it so that the more exotic-looking galaxies can be used for paradise purposes. Lastly, the United Nations was a huge focal point because all of his stardom came from mixing as much culture with heroism as possible. If a rainbow spectrum of humanity are doing the unthinkable, then the rainbow galaxies can finally be used for what they look like. His code name once was the Kill List. Not subtle at all about what he was doing, but now he just wants to be called Dr. Dool's, D-O-O-Z. A handsome gentleman persona that has never led him in harm's way. Besides, he's still mighty enough to not be killed anywhere. He wanted to chill from his 80s out, but staying busy tending to the superhero guild. This was his continued career's work, 10 years going into his retirement while still overseeing the progress with the children that volunteered. Volunteering from all 6 lands of Earth 13 really had his United Nations idea looking splendid, but it was in how they never missed attendance to disappear on other plans of their youth, to prepare to protect reality for the ages. It was a bonus that they all meshed well with one another and didn't tend to national pride. It was beautiful. From the first day that he met them in their elementary years, watched them develop during their junior high years, and finally, gathering honors for seeing them through to college and beyond. He never had kids of his own, never had time to. Honestly, never cared, but he inspired them one way or another before they met him. 8 stars crossed paths for millions to witness over and over again, as they attended college remotely because they were also inspired by other big leaguers. Mostly the ones that started as soon as they exited high school, but the latest legend from Earth 13 was Crunch, and getting a hold of him to ask for mentorship wasn't easy. Captain Bright never cared for the chances, but he always tried and finally got lucky before anyone of the crew turned 20. While they were contracted to be a part of a lesser crew, and being mentored by Crunch's roundtable themselves, the 7 of them felt like they had it made. No strangers to space travel, no strangers to being solidly brave, 1 week into being in the Sea of Stars, and Dr. Deuce found out that they were all in on his master plan. He was all in on making the final things happen, where all 7 of them will have 7 brand new Gundams developed around their data taken from other Gundams they have piloted since their youth. 7 matches made in heaven and were launched on Zarelia's birthday. It was then the worlds learned of the new superhero league, Rango Ocytheon, where those 7 famous kids grew to be famous young adults and stayed on the path of impressing all factions of humanity. D-Technology, Dr. Deuce was implementing what monster clearing of galaxies proposed a new wave of demolishing. With him being an astronomy welder on top of the beyond genius IQ he was blessed with, he had an entire life of experimenting, and he kept his secrets sacred. Dead ass digging a one-man army mantra yet? Man had it made, back to back every decade, helping all as if he's a money infinite Medicaid. And this was the only time anyone deemed he was doing too much, as Zarelia got to give a speech, introducing a size 10 warship that would be commanding from 21 on up. Decked with a highly dedicated government-employed crew, they were a path to always win. Then they began living in the Sea of Stars, going from one place to the next with the idea of helping on all front lines of the wars against space monsters. Triumphantly busy since they were kids and never got tired. Captain Bright, age 29, superpower heaven, of Caucasian descent, hails from the house of stuffers. This one sprouted his halo and angel wings at the age of 5. His lineage showed Angel plenty of times, but he is the first after 7 generations of none. That's not disregarding the lineage of Might, but his parents wanted him in their fold. He was already steering away from that direction because he fell in love with Gundams when he was 7. Being a pilot was the dream to be from then on. Whole birthday party was demanded to be devoted by the parents to show off. It was great times in his world that day, turned into great days, weeks, so on and all that malarkey, until he did too much. Entirely too much to the point Dr. Deuce said that's an all-star. In his time at the surveillance program, he devoted development in a way to give a Gundam real angel wings that hold Gundanian might. It was a dream he put the mental work into as well as the scientific work into, but it was the help of magical work that brought it all together. He was 19 when he finally was able to replicate Gundanian forced angel wings on 10 different Gundam models. Impressive wasn't the word. He's a Galactic-class Gundam pilot and captain of Rango Ocytheon, space monster contractor. Chunk Zero, age 29, superpower is Ice Dragon, of African descent, hailing from the house of Zephora. If you've ever wondered what it's like to feel the heart of a glacier, you should have found him when he was 5, then started to do the family victory dance that makes it snow in his immediate vicinity. The overpowered day to years began shortly after. Then he saw Bahamut model Gundam, looking like his grandfather with a giant cannon. Then saw it in action. Love at first sight was a love that never stopped giving. To protect that love, he followed everything his parents said, which caught the eye of Dr. Deuce, then caught the eyes of more scientists. His surveillance times displayed quantifying dragon breath cannons until there was nothing left. Because he was also a brainiac tech head, every Gundam became his best friend after he turned 13. A super being to be that has a mighty mind wrapped in a mighty vessel. That's all there is to be. Galactic-class Gundam pilot and co-captain of Rango Ocytheon, space monster contractor. Sunloft, age 29, superpower is Astronomy, of Chilean descent, hailing from the house of Soyan. He was always happy, even when trying to break into his powers. He did, by the time he was 5, because he got his powers from a happy place. Because his father was extremely gentle and always smiled when exhibiting powers, instilled in him to do the same. Used to get caught in class keeping the peace by slightly glowing just a bit. And it worked. every time, so all of the pranksters would stop throwing things. Smart. A little bit too smart, because Dr. Dooz always had a hard time stumping him in puzzles. Even though this peace giver was a mighty reactor to be, he never told anyone his secret plans until the surveillance program. Well, his reactor-like power levels combined with a superpower chamber eventually led him to being a sun-capable Gundam, where he could pilot all the way through large space monsters with ease, because nothing is stronger than the sun but a black hole, and monsters can't get close to those either. He can, though. He loves a good look in an old space archiver. Galactic-class Gundam pilot of Rango Ocytheon, space monster contractor. Zorelia, age 29. Superpower is Poy Poy, of Jamaican descent, hailing from the house of Balenska, where they pop them out juicy to deliver all the juice, but only the worthy get to sip that juice. Unleashing Poy Poy wielders by the litter because they love a big family, and because there's so much power in their genes, they are always protected. Whole tribe runs a city out there, but a young Zorelia made sure all levels of the glove categories were status quo. All maxed out, every training session is what she wanted, and because she already knew the master plans for her powers, when she saw Gundams, whole life changed. She was barely 9 when her academy was like, nah. Dr. Dooz was like, nah too, but there he went into every situation hoping she wouldn't blow everything up by mistake. Now intentionally, she never missed her mark, but eventually, he stopped being so anxious around all that power. By the time she was 19, she was capable of destroying a space colony with just a Gundam, through 10 different models, and not all of them were canon models. Galactic-class Gundam pilot of Rango Ocytheon, space monster contractor. Archuleta, age 29, superpower is Mirror, of Chinese descent, hailing from the house of Razabizi, used to torture her parents while hiding in random versions of Mirrorland, all because they thought it was cool to make her laugh with it as a baby. Nope. She was already peeping game, and since mirror powers are some of the easiest memory genes to pass down, she was already on the road to be like both of her parents. Their methods of running through Mirrorland makes it easier to travel the entire universe. Guess who decided to take those strategies to Gundamville? Yeah. But what made it worse was being hella open to the idea of the superpower dealings of getting her new comrades through those mirror portals. All Gundam pilots around the stars were deeply appreciative of another mirror wielder bringing a might to the battlefield, especially one who isn't afraid of launching giant monsters into giant mirrors that would take them right into black holes. The light she brings is the prettiest when it's surrounded by darkness. Galactic-class Gundam pilot of Rango Ocytheon, space monster contractor. Ferretti, age 29, superpower is sorcery, with the 4 categories of sound, energy, portal, and ray, of Norwegian descent. Hailing from the house of Damaskino, he was the forever face in a book, nerd-ass nigga, forever with the intelligence, but never far behind with the might. Socially awkward was king status to him, got along with not a single person, but being born into Sinister's Guild X was a blessing of raw power, because he was told at a young age, intelligence helps power be actually powerful. 9 years old, being interviewed by Dr. Dooz made him feel good about himself for once, relaxed as himself for once. It was a mwah moment. They had him feeling good for loving Gundam so freaking much. Always seen smiling from ear to ear about them. Wanted a chance to write spells about them. Wanted a chance to make history with them. Surveillance became his ultimate friend. Had all the right people telling him that what he is thinking is the best strategy possible. All of that would have been for nothing if the other 6 kids weren't there. He'll always admit that being a one-man army isn't better than a 7-man army. Galactic-class Gundam pilot of Rango Ocytheon, Space Monster Contractor. Ocytheon, age 29, superpowers weather, of Cambodian descent, hailing from the house of Ching Chi. Because his family's might runs deep as all of the millennia, he was able to zip around aerodynamically like an adult at the age of 5. Several family members surrounded him, 4 of them, then 7 of them. They summoned concentrated winds that brought in a friendly funnel that raised the little OZ. He loved the tingling sensation. It was something to protect. Eventually, all 7 of them began to float, and then floated towards him to touch electrified fingertips to his, giving him a family protection enchant so he can zip around whenever he needs to, for his own protection. He was hardcore ever since, and Dr. Dews appreciated the enforcer motivation behind it. He talked to a little OZ as if he was his age, with the utmost respect. That little OZ aspired to get that look from everyone he ever met, and still keeps it austere until he's on vacation. If Rango Ocytheon is in your area, all space monsters are considered handled. His space storms are the best things to witness from the surface of any planet. It's just lovely. Galactic class Gundam pilot of Rango Ocytheon, Space Monster Contractor. Rango Ocytheon has made leaps and bounds, successful with tearing down the space monster population. Good news, right? Well, I have some bad news. Our friend, the Kill List, aka Dr. Dews, passed away last year. Last year being 8123. On Christmas Eve is when he was born. Everyone's projected death year is 100 years after their birth date, meaning that humans, super or not, in this world have a set biological clock. Super beings have a higher chance at living an entire lifespan. It was Dr. Dews' fate. Spent his entire life being the person everyone needed growing up, and it was a shame he never procreated. But he had a backup plan that may be in jeopardy because of the alien invasion. He has a contract that stipulates the sperm he put in a bank at the age of 30 would go up for anyone wanting another gunpowder wielder's genes to circulate in humanity. Yes, he was asexual, fell in love with heroism before he could walk, and that walked him through life. But the plans he had with Rango Ocytheon dealt with once any of them start procreating, his sperm will be available for any woman to take or any scientist to take. With them being 29, the natural state of paternal and maternal instincts in super beings is almost around the bend. All 7 of them have their lovers around the stars. All 7 of them have their lover they'd prefer to spend the rest of their lives with. All 7 of them were at the funeral. Ferretti didn't carry him. Ferretti was walking behind them, playing Dews' favorite instrument and favorite tune. A guitar following the music sheet of Mandy Moore's Wild Hope, or something like that. Who knows what the music is like in this age of time? Psych! I do. Gotcha. But the 7 of them walked him through a very packed funeral and watched as his body was incinerated. They plan on spreading his ashes all over humanity, to leave a pinch here and there, per his wish list once he's gone. With it just happening, the only place they have spread the ashes has been Darland, Canisia, of Edgemere. They needed to unwind after all of their biggest idol perished. They were there on Christmas Day until January the 3rd. They took his urn to the magical wells underneath Darland, where Zova Sly was, doing what she normally does. She hugged all 7 of them and allowed them to put a pinch of him in the magical wells. Told them a story about the first time she met him, about the time he showed off his Gundam for the first time in Edgemere. Val Killer Rough. It's candy apple red, from the crown to the soul boosters. Just solid candy apple red, with a Gundanium chain that is the length of 10 Gundams and able to break apart. It had physical reach that was always undeterminable because the Gundam chain could lengthen, or tighten. Either way it went, the hydraulic system made it so that no monster could outsmart a Gundam or a pilot. He had matching red eyes too that went well with the flame-like armor plating it had, having him look like a devil of a Gundam. It was able to display its capabilities by disconnecting the Gundam chain to create a controlled funnel in the Gulf of Darland. It was a beautiful moment in life as it shined within the funnel with the most red light that would have you starving for a candy apple. Zova Sly told him that the light he had has always shone. It's in their eyes now. They shouldn't grieve for too long. Dr. Dools wouldn't like it that way, but he lived a full life. Extremely too full at times, and his legacy of making Rango Ocytheon a reality was complete. Deep down inside, all 7 of them would carry the superhero guild in high regards as much as the kill list, to continue to navigate humanity to safety like Dr. Dools. No matter where they have gone, nothing has taken their drive to be contributing members of society. The little 9-year-old self of theirs is still strong, punching, kicking, and body slamming as if they don't get tired. And this is word to being an enemy of theirs. 'Cause if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. I will end this folklore piece about their Gundams. Val Killer Ruff is located on a spaceship, the Crimson Cursor. Looks like a giant red arrow with blue eyes. VKR is chilling in the Gundam Bay and will be for a very long time until a gunpowder wielder needs a Gundam. He was designed purposely for gunpowder wielders. He'll be enjoying his off time unless one of the members need to pilot him under emergency circumstances. Or he'll just spring into action whenever it's time to. Everyone else has Bahamut models, same as VKR. Same with the Gundam chain, the reactor blaster, a double plasma sword, and a full-body jet system. Because of Captain Bright, all 7 of their Gundams have Gundanium enchanted angel wings that work off of a developed heaven drive. All of them have red eyes. All of them have the same flame plate armor. All of them hold the Rango Ocytheon emblem, which is a dragon head, breathing flames, with its tongue hanging out the side. So be very aware that they represent the dragons of Gundams. Always be prepared to show the following Gundams love. Migor Stuffers, Azure Colored, Heaven, Captain Brights, Ridley Zephora, Blue Colored, Ice Dragon, belongs to Chunk Zero, Stormon Joyan, Yellow Colored, Astronomy, belongs to Sunloft, Lovely Belenska, Pink Colored, Poy Poy, belongs to Zorelia, Lassery Razabizi, Silver Colored, Mirror, belongs to Arcoletta, Alafo Damaskino, Black Colored, Sorcery, belongs to Ferretti, and Vormo Chinchi, Green Colored, Weather, belongs to Ovag Zero. In essence, these 7 brothers and sisters are technically children of Val Killer Ruff. Same base model, but have different specs to accommodate the different superpowers. All of them have their small quirks, but all of them are set up for prime space monster slaying. With the members wanting different colors for their Gundams, it made it easier to deal with each other on the battlefield, and so that witnesses can identify threat levels. Captain Bright specializes in leveling the battlefield so that his crew has the upper hand. Spreading heaven across the region fucks with all monsters and Gundam systems, especially their sensing methods and radars. Chunk Zero specializes in neutralizing the battlefield by making chunks of ice, fortified by magical might, so that invulnerable objects can obstruct other strategies. Sunloft specializes in turning into a sun-capable Gundam to speed through anything, even matter. Zorelia specializes in damage output, most definitely out of all 7. Cannon was designed to suck the ether out of existence for higher potent attacks. Arcoletta specializes in disappearing battleship-sized monsters. Ferretti specializes in hidden strategies, since spellbinders are basically summoners. The wild card effect is all in his hands. Oveg Zero specializes in sucking the life out of monsters or machinery. The mix of wet and electricity makes it the easiest. In all realities, this combination is extremely effective against space monsters. Whether they are wild or wise, they have been able to exterminate all kinds of space monsters. You can consider those rainbow galaxies, Taurus havens to be. The worlds will continue to thank Dr. Dools for all the time he spent to create such a team. There's nothing like making great use of your time for others. The way he taught them altruism from a different perspective instilled in them a community aspect of heroism. That's because of the superhero league dreams most of them had, that dealt with communities connecting with as many as possible. From families that are used to the lineage of power, allowing them to achieve a life of their own, gave them more incentives to enjoy the freedom they have. The result of their freedom became Rango Ocytheon.